I also want to thank all of the legal analysts who obviously listen to this program and can't get enough of it. Mediocrite, media doesn't matter, all the other reprobates out there. What if Hunter Biden is indicted, which he has been? All the talk today. It's good you're here, folks. Hear it from the constitutionalist's mouth. You don't need to hear it from all the has-beens and wannabes. Seriously. What if Hunter Biden, he's been indicted now, if he's convicted, would his father pardon him? Wouldn't that destroy him politically? Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I do want to address this. Because, of course, as usual, the chorus line misses the point. First, 8 evenings ago, I was on Hannity. What happened that day is this very same David Weiss, the so-called prosecutor, announced under the Speedy Trial Act, the judge, that they were likely to bring charges likely related to the gun violations by Hunter Biden. Now you're hearing all day long from the legal analysts, oh, look at this. This guy writes all the time in National Review. This one, that. And what are they saying? What is Chairman Comer saying? What are they all saying? They're saying what I told you 8 nights ago. Here it is. September 6th, Hannity Show, Cut 1, go. First of all, Sean, on this indictment, the ruse is obvious. I think you're close to it, which is indict him on the gun charge. He may actually get off with this diversion, but get off or not, it's the one charge they can bring that if they have a trial, they won't bring in Papa Bear. If he's indicted on a tax issue, if he's indicted on FARA, you can bring Biden in as a co-conspirator. You can bring him in other ways. You can open up an entire line of questioning involving Joe Biden. On the gun matter, it's very narrow. It's very compartmentalized. So it does not affect Joe Biden directly. So that's the ruse that's taking place here. Wow. Holy mackerel. You know, other than 14.5 million of you folks through the course of a week, other than you know I've said this. If you listen to radio all day and watch TV all day, you wouldn't have known I said this. It's wow, really? So all day long, this is what I'm watching and hearing. I'm laughing. I'm literally laughing. They happen to be right. They're only 8 days late. That's okay. That's okay. Now we get the latest from the experts, the legal analysts. Can Joe Biden pardon his son? Well, of course Joe Biden can pardon his son. But if he pardons his son, it will destroy his electoral chances. Do you hear this one all day, Mr. Producer? It'll destroy his electoral chances. No, it won't. Why? Because he can wait till after the election to pardon his son. Why? Because his son's lawyer happens to be one of the best defense lawyers, Abby Lowell. And Abby Lowell's already said the diversion agreement is a deal that sticks. That's number one ground for appeal. Number two ground, he's raised a number of constitutional issues. Frivolous or not, they have to be heard. Who are they heard by? They'll be heard by the appellate court. That takes a little bit of time. And how much you want to bet, even if Hunter's convicted, well, they're going to stay any sentencing until he gets his appeal heard and adjudicated. So I'm betting there won't be any need for a pardon if Joe Biden is the nominee and is running for president as a Democrat. So it's a stupid question with stupid answers. Just as when I was asked about, what this prosecutors do, Hunter Biden, they're really honing in now, mister. They're really going to get him. They're going to get Joe. I said, no, they're not. Not on this. They might, but not on this. Because this has nothing to do with Joe. 8 days later, ad nauseum. You hear over and over. It's like, okay, I've heard enough. I've heard this already. That's enough already. Here's another point I wanted to raise with you. Now think about this. Don't the Republicans want to run against Joe Biden? Isn't he the easiest candidate to defeat? Look at him. He's a mess. Can't debate. He can't talk. He shuffles around. He bounces into the walls. But even more than that, look at his record. It truly stinks. It's a disaster. Bidenomics does not work. Under these circumstances, I say Joe Biden won't get reelected. So why are some of the commentators, conservatives, Republicans, others, why are they so excited that, well, maybe Joe won't run because David Ignatius. Who? David Ignatius. Who? David Ignatius at the Washington Post, for God's sakes. He says, we got to push Joe out. Joe, look in the mirror, he says. I want to thank you for the grave damage you've done to the nation. From sea to shining sea and beyond. I want to thank you for that, writes Ignatius, whose name should really be obnoxious, but that's okay. But, Joe, you got to step aside because you're not going to win. And by the way, take your sidekick with you. Ooh, is David Ignatius a racist? Misogynist? Oh, regardless. David Ignatius says so. It must be true. And so they regurgitate this all day yesterday. They regurgitate that. My attitude is so different from the rest of these people. Go forward with the impeachment inquiry. Expand it to include true high crimes and misdemeanors beyond the enormous evidence of financial abuse. Beyond it. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about what high crimes and misdemeanors meant to the framers of the Constitution. What it meant to various delegates who went to the Constitutional Convention and what they said during their various state conventions, ratification conventions. It doesn't mean, hey, can you show that Joe Biden got one nickel, just one damn penny? You don't have to. You don't have to. As we discussed at length yesterday, an open southern border where people pour across and commit crimes, where fentanyl and other deadly drugs come across the border and murder, kill our people. And on and on and on. Those are the intentional acts, that is the open border, the consequences of which is mass destruction, war on the American citizenry. That's an impeachable offense. Joe Biden defying, circumventing Supreme Court decisions. That's an impeachable offense. And so forth. So you expand your investigation to include what the framers intended as well by high crimes and misdemeanors. You're going to hear all these low IQ frauds on the Constipated News Network and over at MSLOSD going, there's no evidence, not one centile that Joe took a penny. Well, maybe there's a lot of evidence. There's a massive cover-up going on. But it doesn't matter. Just like these handgun charges, they don't matter in terms of our governance. Do they? And so you have your impeachment inquiry. Well, Mark, he'll never be convicted in the Senate. So what? As I explained before, and another backbencher picked up on this, it's okay. Look, I'm here to educate. We've had three presidents impeached, one twice. And not once was there a financial matter. Not once. Doesn't mean there can't be. But impeachment doesn't follow the criminal code. I mean, there could be a crime committed that is impeachable, no question about that. But that's not the bounds of the impeachment clause. Matter of fact, it's more grievous if you do exactly what Joe Biden's been doing. Destroying separation of powers. Destroying the independence of the Supreme Court. Destroying our immigration laws. Causing widespread crime within the country. Widespread death within the country with fentanyl and other drugs. The direct consequences of his decisions. And these aren't just mere policy differences. The man is part of a revolution, right? And then, of course, when they look into this, they need to look into what the Justice Department's been doing, what the FBI's been doing, and the whole smorgasbord of impeachable offenses. I won't bother telling you heard it here first and so forth. It doesn't matter. I've just decided. You know, Rush used to tell me how frustrating it was that people would steal his stuff. And so he started, you'll notice, putting sort of a background marker, particular kind of noise on things he would say. And he did it, not because he knew it would work. He did it to try and tell people, you know, figure out your own ideas. Use your own thoughts. Use your own head. I am similarly frustrated. But you know what? I shouldn't be. It's been going on a long, long time. Long time. Now, Nancy Pelosi, October 15, 2019, you know, they're making a lot. I even saw one of the legal analysts up there saying, you know, it's interesting, you know, the position of the United States Department of Justice under Trump was, unless the full House votes on a impeachment inquiry, it's not constitutionally legitimate. Okay, fine. The Department of Justice doesn't get to decide for the House of Representatives what's constitutionally legitimate. They have their own power under the Constitution. I'm just saying, nice try, but that's not true. Nancy Pelosi broke that precedent. She broke that tradition. It's not constitutionally compelled, but she broke it because she was in a hurry to hang Trump from a telephone pole. Now, we know for a matter of fact that that's what she did. Now, later on, she would go ahead and take the vote. But so what? In order to open an impeachment inquiry, she basically issued a fiat. And Kevin McCarthy on this program pointed out yesterday, she set the precedent. And he's right. You have to fight fire with fire. You're going to get burned otherwise. The Republicans play by the rules. They're not even the rules. By phony rules, and the Democrats are there throwing political Molotov cocktails. I'm sick and tired of it. So good for McCarthy. But here's Nancy Pelosi lying through her dentures. Cut 3, go.
As the distinguished chairman said, there's no requirement that we have a vote. And so we, at
Who's
this
the
time...
distinguished chairman? That slob, what's his name? Adam Schiff? He's distinguished? Is it reprobate? Start from the top, please. Go ahead.
As the distinguished chairman said, there's no requirement that we have a vote. And so we, at this time, we will not be having a vote. And I'm very pleased with the thoughtfulness of our caucus in terms of being supportive of the path that we are on in terms of fairness.
Yes. By the way, have you noticed, her face is dripping? Her face is dripping. Too many facelifts. And they tie that skin behind their head, you know? It's coming loose. Somebody needs to tighten it up. Like a Boy Scout, they know how to do those knots.